All right, we're back with another episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. This is episode 130. I'm your co-host, Trent Hidlay. I'm joined by always head coach Pat Popolizio. Pat, what's going on?
Trent, always great to see you. Great to hear your voice. Miss you this weekend. I know you've been traveling and got a lot going on, but I'm glad we could catch up, talk some NC State wrestling.
Yeah, it looks dark there. I'm in Colorado Springs. We still got a couple hours of sunlight. I'm 2 hours behind you guys. So, yeah, I'm up here for the national team camp. A little surprise for Wolfpack Nation. I found a homeless guy that wanted to train as well, so I got him in my dorm room.
Wow, this is going to be a great episode. We know it.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
Yep.
It's good to be here.
GoFundMe account for Mock to get some.
Maybe a haircut? Yeah, I don't know.
It's all right.
I've been trying to get him to get a haircut for 3 years. But, out here in Colorado Springs for training camp. I missed the trip to New Jersey, but it sounds like some great dual meets. I was there last Friday night, win over App State in the home opener. It was a 34-12 victory, kind of a little bit of a weird duel. There was 3 injury defaults. I've never seen that before. That was my first time doing the broadcast as well, so good experience for me. But what were some of your thoughts from the App State duel?
Well, first of all, the people who were commenting and people I know that sent me messages said you did a phenomenal job on air. You're obviously a natural. So I think that goes hand in hand. I think even Mock's been on the mic before. It just must come natural for guys that have wrestled at NC State to carry that torch. But, you hit it on the head. Extremely weird. In my time coaching, I have never seen 3 injury defaults in a dual meet. That's 30% of the matches ending in injury default. So never want to see that, never want to be a part of that. And you always hope that they're nothing that's, too serious. At least in our end, I think we're in a good spot. Something that we'll be able to recover and be back in due time. But, you wish the best for the other athletes that got injured in that dual meet.
Yeah, it was weird. Just a little bit of rhythm kept getting thrown off, but there was over 2,500 people there. I thought attendance was pretty good for the first home duel, and that'll only keep getting better. Bonus point victories from Ed Scott, Isaac Trumbull, and Vincent Robinson, and then obviously Dylan Fishback and Kairini with injury defaults, and then other wins by Coy Bisgins and Maddie Singleton. It was awesome to see some of these guys get their first home experience in Reynolds, and Ed Scott came out firing as well, which was fun to see.
Yeah, a lot of new faces in our lineup between going up weights and new guys in there. So it's a different look for NC State wrestling, but, the mentality and everything that we've been preaching is going to certainly show and things that we expect. And I'm sure we're going to talk about, what we did on Sunday. And that was a good, turn of a attitude and things that we wanted to see from a Friday night duel that was kind of eerie. Like the injury defaults were a big part of that, but I know you have this in your script, so I'll pause and hold on our Princeton Rutgers duels.
Yeah, I'm organized. I was jotting my notes.
Yeah, I know. Brian yells at me too because I get going on these rants, so I got to check myself. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said it was a quick turnaround. I think you guys left really at like 5 a.m. that next morning on Saturday to get down to New Jersey, and then on Sunday you had Princeton and Rutgers. You started out with Princeton. Guys looked really good, pretty dominant. It was a 34-6 win. Knowing you, I know you win 8 out of 10 matches, and yeah, there's a lot of really good things that happened in those 8 matches, but you kind of you're stuck thinking about those other 2 that you lost. But they're pretty good performances. Bonus point wins from Vincent Robinson, Kai, Ed Scott, Derek Fields, Maddie Singleton. Trumbull got another pin, and then those 2 losses. So what'd you see in the Princeton duel, and what was the atmosphere like there in Toms River?
Well, you got to rewind, and I think some of this had to do with you go back to the schedule that we had in play. We've done a lot of travel in a short period of time, and then you throw in a home duel on Friday. Guys know Saturday we had a 5 a.m. wake up, 5 a.m. report to WB. So you're wrestling a dual meet, you're finishing, energy's high, you got to get up and you got to travel, and then you got to get back up on a Sunday. So we're looking at just guys competing on a Friday night. And we know in our heads we have a whole weekend ahead of us. We still got to travel. So there's a lot to this, and your casual fan doesn't understand. You're just not going to show up every day, be there, wrestle. You still got to cut weight. And like guys were still cutting weight that night. We still had to get up at 5 a.m., travel, and then get up Sunday, work out, and compete against, obviously Princeton had some really good guys in their lineup, but Rutgers we knew was going to be a very competitive duel. So those things, that's 10 matches that we encountered in basically the last 2 weeks. And I thought our guys responded well. It's obviously we want to compete at a high level, but I think we're going to see growth all year with this team. And what I saw Sunday, I think spoke volumes to the character of what we're looking for. And we just need to fight and carry that torch of people like yourself and the guy behind you, have put NC State of what it is and the hard-nosed blue-collar team. And we want to represent that when we're competing. So, as far as Princeton went, we were there. We got a great warm-up. Guys went out, and they were aggressive, and they attacked. And, again, it's a hard thing to do when you also sitting in the back of your head knowing you got another dual meet right behind that. And I think that was what I liked about it is we wrestled well against Princeton, knowing we have a lot of really tough, good matches ahead of us in an hour or two later.
Yeah, and when I touched on those losses, they weren't too, low-level guys. Coy Bisgans dropped the match to Ty Whalen, who's number 9 in the country, and Andrew Machiavello stepped into the lineup and took Luke Stout, who's number 17 in the country, to overtime. So that was pretty cool to see. Andrew get his first taste in the dual meet lineup. Moving on, Rutgers, really good duel. I was able to watch about half of it, and then my flight took off. So I was really anxious on the flight. You can imagine me trying to get text updates from Jackson, but it was a win, 23-14. Some of the highlights: Ed Scott with a tech fall over a really talented recruit, true freshman Connor Hare. Vince Robinson lit the world on fire again. It ended up in an injury default, but he was scoring a ton of points over number 7 Dean Peterson. Troy Homan wrestled top-ranked Dylan Shaver, pretty tough. Ended up losing. Kai followed it up with a pretty gritty win, getting the ride out. Matt Singleton getting a big win over number 13 Jackson Turley with a late takedown. Dylan Fishbag getting a win over Brian Soldano, who's number 20, I believe. And then capping it off with Isaac Trumbull getting a big win over number 4 Slavikowski. So talk about kind of the emotions of that duel. It sounded like it was kind of back and forth, and you guys traded matches for a while, but a lot of good wrestling and competitiveness on both sides.
And Rutgers, Goodell does a phenomenal job. He's produced, obviously at the highest level with national champs, All-Americans. I thought it was great. They put our chairs. You would have loved this. Our chairs were, so look at a corner of a wrestling mat. They had chairs lined up there and then chairs on the other corner. So we were touching chairs. Yes. So now you can hear everything everyone's saying. And that for me makes, you would have loved it. And anyone in a competitive atmosphere that loves those kind of environments, it was a very good heated dual meet. Nothing was, out of line, and nothing but respect for Rutgers. But it tested our guys, it tested their guys. We both won matches we shouldn't have. They did, so it went back and forth. And I think that's what makes a good dual meet and is great for wrestling, great for the fans. I thought UFC Fight Pass did a phenomenal job. Everyone that I talked to said that the feedback from the broadcast to the commentating was first class, other than what you do for our home duels. And being in Rutgers, they got passionate fans, and of course they're yelling at me, and we like that. And what I love most is to see the competitive nature with our guys, knowing that when you're on the road and you're being, I guess, cheered against for, that's got to motivate you. You're gonna crumble or you're gonna step up and compete and fight. And I saw that across the board from all 10 guys. They backed the brand of NC State, and I was very proud of that. And coming off the App State duel, there was low energy, just not what historically we're about. And the guys responded very well. And I think moving forward, we know what we need to do, and guys are going to come and compete and make sure they put a show on for our fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched on it. Getting back to a little bit of that what kind of made this program so great with that enthusiasm and excitement in those big duels. And I think you look back to, I know me and Coach Tommy Gant were talking a little bit about 2016, and Mock can chime in on this, but going into Gallagher, but going into Carver Hawkeye and having that enthusiasm for those type of dual meets, seeing the guys kind of respond this Sunday against a big duel was awesome. Mock, what do you think?
Yeah, Trent and I were texting actually during the duel, and one thing that we were talking about is just kind of like the brand, right? The blue collar work ethic, hard, never quit, going to fight you for a full 7. Doesn't matter if we win or lose. We're not the guy you want to see in the bracket because it's going to be an absolute war. And, I think back to being part of your first recruiting class, right? You didn't have a bunch of blue chippers, but you recruited hard-nosed, blue-collar kids who you knew were going to fight you tooth and nail every single minute of the match, and we're going to work hard. And that was kind of our identity for a while. And you used to always say, it's like, we're going to outwork everybody, and we're going to be in better shape than everybody, and we're going to fight harder than everybody, and we don't care what team they are. And that was the mentality you guys took into Iowa for the duel, and then the Oklahoma State duel, and then that's kind of been our identity. So like being able to get back to that's been really good to see.
Yeah, well, I think the problem you have, guys, is as you're getting older, Mock, these guys don't remember you competing. So we got to make sure we rebrand that as coaches, and we're doing it. But I will say this: your brother had a big part of that in the Princeton duel. 97 was a weight that we needed good energy. Him going out there, he really represented the Machiavello family and the passion and the fight and everything that, when I look back to what made you, your brother represented that in that match. And I think he obviously, we know he's got a lot of work to do on the technical side of things, but, I think the fight that he brought, this team needed that at that time, and it wasn't a matter of, hey, are we going to win this dual meet? It's what's going to define NC State this year, and a guy like that stepping up and going out there hasn't been in our lineup ever, and we give him an opportunity to go out and wrestle against, one of the better kids in the country, and giving up a little weight and battling, and I think it sparked a lot of good energy in our team and moving forward. Our guys know if you're going to wear NC State singlet, you're gonna bring it. And moving forward, we got a Friday night. I know you're going to talk, or Saturday. I know you're going to talk about this, Trent. But Coach Hall has that team tough, hard nosed, very similar to the way we do things, and we're going to have to go out there and bang heads.
I think one cool thing, and I'm going to have to bounce here in a second, but last thing I'll say is like specifically my younger brother, he never placed in the North Carolina State tournament. Had a labrum surgery coming into the team. He was 245 pounds, last guy on the track. You almost kicked him off, which I was totally okay with.
Grades. That was from grades. Our expectation.
But I was totally okay with, because you hold your guys to a certain standard, and to see the guys grow and develop, he's just one example. And so hopefully we can see that development that NC State's known for, taking guys who maybe don't have the best careers in high school, but who are willing to do the work, develop into All-Americans and national champs. And I, from me, obviously being an alum, I feel like I'm starting to see that come back, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, Mike, thanks for your little guest input.
Can you send us your Venmo? I got $20 for a haircut for you.
No shot.
No shot, he says. Well, yeah, great dual meet. Some big ranked wins, especially for Trumbull. That kind of match went overlooked a little bit because the duel was already locked up. But Trumbull's a guy that's going to be in every match this year. A returning All-American. It was a smothering ride, and I think is that what we're going to see? From him moving forward, is just sticking to his style. I think it's working for him.
Well, don't forget he also he's wrestled 3 returning All-Americans in less than 8 days, and showing some really good results, and has hit the ground running. A heavyweight, I think it's obviously been a good move. And obviously Owen being here and dealing with that situation, I think it's been very positive for both guys. And, we can talk about it, not talk about it, but I'm happy Owen's found a home.
Yeah.
We had a plan going into this season, and we executed it as a program, and we were in front of the situation. And anybody that does NC State right, we want to do them right. And I think we did that with Owen. But moving forward with Isaac, he's a guy that's going to be a threat. And he's a very tough guy to wrestle. He's got good experience from this redshirt year. He's gained a ton of confidence. You saw some, 2 duels in a row, App State and Princeton. He got a fall. He has an unorthodox style of wrestling that can put you on your back at any given time. And he also he's still learning heavyweight. So there's going to be a little bit of growing pains, but when it comes down to being in the line of fire, I want that guy on my side. And he's tough as nails, and he represents everything that we are as a program, first class. And he can win gritty matches. He can win, high scoring matches. And I think the move going up to heavyweight's been great for him. And I think it's going to pay dividends for us as the season moves forward.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, and the other match I thought that was really big. I told myself I was going to keep this podcast to like 20 minutes.
And especially with mocking this. I mean,
no, Maddie Singleton getting a big takedown at the end to beat Jackson Turley. I thought that was big for Maddie. It took a couple of losses at Journeyman, responded with a big throw in Reynolds. That was really cool. He's high octane when he gets his offense going, but that was good for Maddie to get that win under his belt.
Huge. That kid that he wrestled obviously had a lot of dangerous stuff. Same with 84. But the way Maddie responded, and I think the more mat time Maddie gets, let's not forget, I know he wrestled redshirted. He's in his 3rd year, but he was very limited on his match count. And if you look at a roster, he's probably has the least amount of matches for the guys in that class. Give him some time. He's going to be very dangerous. Huge win for him Sunday. And moving forward, I think we're going to be a dangerous combination with him. Throw Fish back in there, having a big win against Sedano, who's another dangerous wrestler. So across the board, the guys who won, they did a lot of great things. And our guys who lost, they fought and were ultra competitive. And that's what we're looking for. What's our brand this year? And I want to make sure it stays to the standard that we are as coaches and former athletes.
Yep. It's a great dual win, great response by the guys going into the weekend. They get another opportunity to respond this upcoming weekend. Utah Valley coming to Reynolds Saturday night, the return of Coach Adam Hall and Coach Timmy McCall. That's got to be pretty special seeing, 2 of your assistant coaches come back with the program that they have right now.
Yeah. Well, we got to be ready to compete because we can't let them come into Reynolds and try to sneak anything from us. But, watching and knowing what those guys are capable of doing, Adams hit the ground running hard and has shown in a short period of time the impact that he's having on the sport of wrestling. He's a rock star. He's going to do great things. And his guys are going to come. We know they're going to battle extremely hard, and it's going to be a war on the mat. And we got to match it and bring it. And our fans need to show up and be rowdy and make for a great environment. But yeah, it's going to be hard-nosed, tough wrestling come Saturday.
Yeah, kind of an interesting Saturday duel. Usually I'm used to the Friday night duels, but hey, I'm going to be on the broadcast again, so I'm getting my notes ready for that.
You got a lot of time to do some homework, but I'm sure you'll come up with some good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's going to be exciting. I know if I know anything about Coach Adam and Coach Timmy, they're going to get their training in too. So it'll be great to see those guys. Be great to have them back in Reynolds. But business is business. I wanted to go down through some of these weights. Some pretty good matchups. And Utah Valley doesn't have a ton of ranked guys, but you hit it. You talked about it. They wrestle extremely hard. I've watched their duel with Nebraska and Oklahoma State. All of their guys will wrestle the full 7 minutes, and they're going to continue to develop. At 125, Vince Robinson, he's been what a big spark he's been. And hopefully we get to start at 25 because I love having him start off duels. He's going to be wrestling Bridger Ricks, who's wrestled recently very well at 2 close losses to Caleb Smith and Troy Spratley of Oklahoma State. That match is good for Vince, wrestling a guy that's kind of stingy and good defensively. So it'll be a good test to see if Vince can keep his swagger going.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obvious you can watch some film on him and know you got to stop a lot of moves, and that's a hard thing to do. And he's just got to be who he is. He's probably in our time here one of the most entertaining wrestlers that we've had as far as output. He's got a great personality, and he loves the limelight and competition. So let's go put the lights on and let Vinny shine. But he has been a great spark for NC State, and doing all the right things leading up, making weight and in school, and his diet. It's just been a phenomenal success story, and I'm excited as the season goes on to see what he's capable of doing.
Yep. 133 still sounds like some things are up for grabs at 133 between Troy Homan and Dragon Arini. They'll be taking on Case Mauger. Any thoughts on that match?
If we get what we got out of Troy on Sunday, we're in a good spot. And that's what I noticed. Between Friday and Sunday, I saw two different athletes. And if I get the Sunday Troy, when you wrestle returning Big Ten champ and an All-American the way he did, that's all we're asking for. We can take dealing with making mistakes, but we can't fix effort. And his effort on Sunday was exactly what we needed out of him. And I think moving forward, he knows what he needs to do. Dragon's always an option for us. We're playing the dates with the red shirts and see as the development goes on what we're going to do there. But I think when the dust settles, we're going to have a lot of good options at 33.
Yeah. Moving along, we'll kind of run through this quick. 141, Kai Orini wrestling Hayden Drury. Kai actually beat him 3-2 at NCAA's a year ago, so that'd be a good matchup for Kai. 149, Coy Bisgins versus Tanner Frothinger. 157, Ed Scott versus Riker Fulmer. Those two matches, just good to get those guys continuing to get Coy more matches. Ed keeping them hot against, two guys that they're favored against.
Yeah, and Coy, same thing. He's a freshman. He's week to week keeps getting better. I think any freshman that you get in a lineup is going to make mistakes, and as long as they have short-term memory and know that they're as good as they are coming through the process, I think good things are going to be in play for Coy. We recruited him here because of how good he was in high school, and he's shown a lot of really good things throughout his redshirt year, and we just got to get consistency, and that comes with time. And one thing I like about Coy is I know he hates losing, and he'll do the work that he needs to do to make sure the mistakes that he's making are going to be fine-tuned. And yeah, we got to get some mat time, and I think where you see Coy now and where you see him in 3 months can be two different athletes, and he'll put the work in, and we're confident he's going to be hitting from all cylinders come March. Ed Scott, as we all know, Ed, the more matches he wrestles, the better he gets, and I think we're at 8, 9, 10 matches with Ed, so we're in the right spot.
Yeah,
Ed is Ed, and he's been a leader for this program. He's a staple for NC State wrestling, and his leadership is much needed this year.
Yep, for sure. Back half of the duel, probably the premier match, Derek Fields versus Terrell Bearclaw. I think Bearclaw's up to number 5 in the rankings, had some great wins so far this season. Just a great test for Derek to compete against someone that's, probably going to be at the national tournament and vying for All-American status.
Yeah, and you look at the wins that he's already gotten. It's a great opportunity for Derek. You get to wrestle a guy that has a great resume already. I think if he was, had his time to start in the years before, I think he would have a bigger resume. But there's no question that we got an opponent that is one of the better kids in the country, and being under Adam's leadership, the kid's going to be improving fast and getting the experience he needs. So that's a key matchup right there, and an opportunity for Derek. The schedule that Derek's encountered is pretty challenging. He's wrestled ranked guys back to back, and this is another one. Hey, show up, get your win, and you're sitting pretty again, and take advantage of a tough schedule that we have, a tough schedule that Utah Valley has, and that's what great programs do. They compete against the best. But I think that's going to be one of the matchups a lot of people are going to be, tuned in on and watch two really good wrestlers go at it.
Yep. 174, Matty Singleton versus Mark Takara. 184, Dylan Fishback versus Kalen Uhlenhop. I might have said that wrong. Favored in both those matches. 197, probably still, I'm sure you guys are still figuring out who we're going to be between, Machiavello, Knopp, Chase Horn, got some options there, taking on Cale Benny. And then 285, obviously, Isaac Trumbull versus Jack Forbes. So up and down, that back side of the lineup, favored in most of the matches, but still, we want to see. I know Wolfpack fans are excited to continue to see these guys hit the mat.
Yeah, we want to be aggressive and score points and do what we've been training to do. 97, we want someone that wants to represent NC State wrestling for what it is, and we'll let those guys figure it out. But I feel really good knowing that Mock's in the mix now, and having a guy that mirrors the mentality and everything that we expect from an athlete. But yeah, we got Knopp and Chase Horn, and we're going to let the season play out and see who really wants the spot. And we're going to give it to the guy that will show up and compete as hard as they can for 7 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got Utah Valley Saturday night. Going to be a great duel. Need Wolfpack Nation to show out as always. It's always a great atmosphere. Before I let you go, Pat.
Here we go.
All right, I'm going to run through. We'll see if we can get these two. Mock, help me pick them out. So first one, a North Carolina state champion. All right, had a brother on the team. Wrestled 149.
Jake D'Angelo.
Yep, you got it.
Yep.
Mock was thinking that you were going to think it was him after the first two hints.
No. Well, I was going down that, and I was like, well, we've had a couple siblings from the state of North Carolina, but I needed to know the weight.
Well, good. All right, 1 for 1. Last one. I had to try to make this one a little more difficult, but it might give it away. All right, this one, he has MMA experience.
You got Caldwell. You got Tommy Gant.
All right, he was a lightweight. He was a lightweight finalist at Super 32 in high school.
And MMA?
Had some MMA. Had some
Max Roshkoff?
No, last hint. He's from New York.
Well, I know it's not Billy Cook. From New York. Well, it's not Nick Gwizdowski.
No. Lighter weight. In Hayden's class, the class of, what was that, 2014, I think?
Johnny Devine?
Nope.
Jeez. MMA experience from New York. And he graduated here?
Yep. First name starts with a T.
Oh, shoot. Tommy Cox.
Tommy Cox.
Yeah. All right. That was legit.
Yeah, I had to give you a little bit of curveball.
Tommy Cox was doing MMA in a room before he went MMA in public.
We've had a couple of guys go MMA. I think Billy Cook and Mike Mock went MMA.
Mike Mock. Actually, Mike, you need to get Mike back to talk about that story when he dropped Billy Cook.
Yeah, we will. We will get Mock on the podcast soon. But Pat, thanks for hopping on, recapping App State, Princeton, Rutgers. Looking forward to Utah Valley. Going to be a great dual meet, and I'm excited to get back and see the guys and get ready for them to prepare. So, any parting words?
No. Let's have another good week of training at Colorado Springs. I think people need to know you're out there, and you and Mock looks like you're rooming together. So
yeah,
we're cut out for you.
Yeah, it's we've been
keep your headphones on.
Yeah, right. He'll be waking me up at crazy hours of the night reading. Tell me about the book he's reading, but it's good. Now this has been another episode of Pack Mentality Poppins Podcast, episode 130. Pat, thanks for joining. We'll see you at Reynolds on Saturday night.
All right, appreciate it.